Well, good morning. Today is January 20th. I'm Peter Combs, Bidamount.com. We're going to take a look at last week's newsletter, see how the Chinese things on eBay did, and we're going to take a look back at the Christie's sale that just happened a couple of days ago, what the results were of that Chinese export sale. The results were mixed at best, I can tell you. A little bit surprised, and a few things went through the roof. So we're going to take a look at that. I will start with that. Here's the post we did on it prior to the sale on the blog, on the website. And we click over here, you click on this, and go right over to the catalog for the auction. And we're going to flip in here, and let's see here. The first lot we're going to go to is lot 271. We'll flip up to it. Whoops. There it is, this wonderful big Rockefeller pattern platter that I mentioned last week. I liked it a great deal, and it barely made its reserve. It went for $8,750, which was quite surprising. This was a very big charger. It was 19 inches wide, and I get a feeling there's some severe softening going on, perhaps in some areas of the China trade items, which is a good opportunity if you're a collector of Chinese export. Take a look. I've also seen the same thing in pricing on eBay pieces with good armorial pieces that are going very reasonably less than they were, even 15, 20 years ago. All right, so it's something to look forward to if you're a collector. And we're going to flip over here, and we're going to get up to lot 301. This fabulous Yongchen charger. I mentioned this. I thought it was wonderful. It's 21 inches wide. Well, apparently a lot of people thought it was wonderful, too. It went for $118,700. Certainly not a disappointment to the consignor. Did extremely well, but a very rare thing. And as I said last week, they didn't make many big chargers like this. They just simply didn't produce them with any sort of regularity. And the other piece that did very well is this little teapot underneath. About 8,000. It went well over the estimate. It's a pretty rare form, nice famille rose piece with these foo lions on it. And let's move up. We're going to go to lot 307 is next. Here they are, this wonderful pair of enamel dishes, saucer dishes, Yongchen period also, possibly early Qianlong, around 1740 or 50. And they did very well. They brought, what was the total on those? 37,000. So they more than doubled the high estimate on the sale. These were really quite lovely. We're going to blow them up a little for you to get a good look at them. You can still go to the site and pull up the catalog, but there's the detail of the plate. Really lovely pair, European scenes, and obviously very rare. So they did fabulously well. And then we're going to move up to, we're going to go look at one last thing here before we get over to eBay. It was lot 355. You can go to the Christie's website and get a hold of their catalog price results and take a look if you want. The other item that did well was this big Yongchen jar, nice jar, 32-inch pot, which I thought was quite exceptional. 32 inches, it's 2.5 foot tall, and everybody seemed to like it a lot. It brought 56,000, more than doubled its estimate. The Chinese taste could fall for this as well as the Western buyer, and that was it. All right, but overall, the sale had a number of buy-ins, which was kind of shocking on pieces that I didn't think would BI, but they did. So, if you're a collector, this might be good news. Now, this is an item that was on eBay last week. It was this wonderful big transitional period jar with probably an early 19th century lid put on it. Beautiful example, nice blue and white, well painted, and it did great. It brought $5,200. All right, so somebody got a nice piece. And then next was the Kangxi charger plate. It's a fairly common type. It's not a really high quality one, but it's a nice one. And this pattern, many of you have seen them before. This was a charger. It was around about 14 or 15 inches in diameter, and it did quite well. It brought $1,000, $1,033. And it was in very good condition. All right. And then there was this. This was probably a Yongchen or early Qianlong period plate with a figure in it. Nice early example. Had a hairline and a crack in it, all right, which held the price down, and it still went for $648. So there you go. That's a nice item. And there were these Fitzhugh plates. And a lot of people look at these and they don't think too much of them. Orange Fitzhugh is very desirable for the export collectors still. And this was a nice stack of them. There were about 8 of them in the pile there. And they brought $2,200, which is a good result for those. $2,224. If you collect Fitzhugh or Chinese export, I think eBay is the place to buy them these days from what I'm seeing. And last Monday and Tuesday, Joni's up in Canada had an auction close. And this was something I liked. It wasn't the most expensive thing they sold, but it was a nice late Ming plate. Had a little firing flaw in it, but a charming scene, nice form with good cobalt decoration. Here's another view of it. Nice little example. There's an old tag on that that says Wan Li period. I suspect that's about right. Notice the foot nicely trimmed, very neatly done, all the way around, that slight V shape with a flattened bottom on it. And it did well, brought $1,603. Another item in Joni's sale was, well, a number of the things did well. You can see the prices here did quite well across the board. This nice natural coral carving brought $6,800. And this rather attractive large, they call it 18th to 19th century transitional. I'm not quite sure how they dated it like that, because transitional was mid-1600s, but that's okay. It brought $6,200. Looks like a good transitional vase to me, and did just fine. And there was this rather nice 19th century famille vert condiment set tray. Beautiful example. I love porcelains. I've said it before. I like porcelains with horses in them, because I love the expressions that the Chinese use on their faces. They really animate them, and they have in this one they had them all posed in different directions and scooting around. One of these trays had a small chip and a crack in it, but it was a good buy. $676 for that. I think somebody got a nice purchase. It's a good item. And moving on was this. This was that rather nice little Kangxi pot. It's missing its lid and had a tiny chip. I mentioned it last week when we looked at it, but I liked it. I like Kangxi pots like this with that type of decoration, with vases and precious objects on them and so forth. And it did fine. It brought $391 without its lid, but it's a nice item for somebody to put in their collection if they like Kangxi. Then we go over here to this roux scepter, Beijing enamel. They used to call them Peking enamel, but I guess political correctness has gone into it, so they now call it Beijing enamels. And this is a good scepter. I liked it. It had a sort of an apocryphal chin-lung mark on the bottom, but I suspect, judging by the decoration, he called it Republican period. I don't think it is. I think it's actually a late 19th century example, and beautifully done. Had a little chip out of it at one end and some nicks along here in the enamels. Wasn't perfect, but a nice example. I love the bats. And brought $503, which is a pretty good result for that. And it was a very good buy if you're an enamel collector. All right, I think it's older than it looked. And there was this fan dish, Famille Rose fan dish. The seller had it as Yongchen period. I'm not so sure of that. It's certainly at least Qianlong. It's an 18th century fan, but it's a nice piece. And here's a picture of the bottom of it. Okay, and you know, I had some. This foot makes me think that it's probably a later 18th century piece than Yongchen, but there it is. And it did fine. It brought $190 and was a really good buy if somebody collects unusual forms. I think this was a rather unusual one. And then last, we'll get over to here, was this. This was maybe the bargain of the week. I was really surprised by how little this brought. This was an armorial Nanking, very high quality platter. It was about 15 inches wide, or not, how big was it? 15 inches, I think. And spectacular quality decoration. Still had most of its gilding, and it was in perfect condition. Had nothing wrong with it. And drum roll, please. Went for $170. That is astounding. These platters 20 years ago of this type were bringing in the $500 to $700 range. So I think that after seeing the Christie sale, and seeing some of the things here is that right now there's a wonderful opening. If you collect Chinese export, now is the time, because Chinese export porcelain seems to be rather soft. And it's an opportunity, if you've been out of the market and not collecting, to get back into it, because I think across the board you're going to be able to get yourself some terrific buys. All right? And that's it for the week. I just got a notice the other day that Christie's has their big March Asia Week thing coming up, and we'll be putting a lot of that on the website. And there's a sale over in the Netherlands that we're going to have mentioned. We're going to have a link to it on the newsletter tomorrow. Saturday night and into Sunday. It's an online sale. It's a nice looking auction. If you're an eBay seller, you might want to check this out. These guys do very reasonable shipping, and it's good stuff, good quality stuff. So check that out. It'll be in the featured section right here on the newsletter tomorrow, okay, for this week. So if you don't get the newsletter, sign up for it. And if you're not subscribing to us here on YouTube, please do. We do these videos every week, and happy to answer questions for people that reach out to us. And come to Bidamount.com and register for the newsletter, and you can stay up to date and join us each week when I do these. All right. Have a great weekend, and see you next time. Bye-bye.